Well, hello there. We are live with the Dana Spencer Show, where we talk about solving problems, building relationships, quitting corporate, and the freedom to walk in our God given purpose. And I am super excited today, as you can tell, because I have a special guest with me today. And I know you have heard me say um, that, that retirement is a number, not an age. And where I got that from, where I first heard that from, was this lady who is sitting right to the right of me, Miss Chiquita Lindsay. So, Miss Chiquita, welcome to the Dana Spencer Show. I'm super excited to have you here. So, where tell the people a little bit about who Miss Chiquita is and how your path was able to cross with real estate.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for inviting me.
You're
And I
welcome.
appreciate you repeating my slogan. I got it from somewhere else. I'm not sure where a long time ago. So, a little bit about me is I worked a job for over 38 years, a hospital job. And when I realized when I started thinking about retiring, I wasn't going to have enough money. And so I had to do something else. And I always had the love of real estate because most women love real estate. But I never wanted to be a real estate agent. And I said, I'm just going to buy a few rental properties back when real estate was going through 2008, 2011 to supplement my husband's income. Never thought it would save me. And when I realized that I was going to probably work until age 70, I said, I got to do something. So, what do I know how to do where I don't have to go back to school? That can bring me an income month after month, never have to worry about running out of money. And it was real estate. So I quit my job. I gave 2 weeks resignation and I quit. And I never looked back. I went straight out there to buy properties to be able to build up enough income that where I would have enough monthly income to be able to retire early. And so I guess people say, well, if you work somewhere 38 years, couldn't you just retire? But remember, they were telling us you got to wait till you're 65 to retire. And so most people think that, but you don't have to do that.
Yeah, so you said a mouthful, and there's a lot there that I wanted to unpack. So, first of all, on the job for 38 years. So, what were you doing for 38 years?
Medical lab technician.
Medical lab technician. So, that sounds strenuous.
It's on your feet, 10, 12 hours a day. It's nonstop. It's like, am I going to get a break? Can I go to lunch? I got 20 minutes. I need to go to the restroom. Hurry up, get back. You're standing there. So it was emotionally and physically exhausting.
So on the job 38 years, and a lot of people that I come in contact with, I feel like they have a tremendous amount of fear. They are afraid. So, how were you able to say, you know what, even though I've been on this job for 38 years, I've got to do something else. I cannot continue to stand on my feet like this. What was it that really like pushed you out the door?
I'm glad you brought that up, Dana, because that's a problem that most women have. The fear to step out. Fear is good sometimes. Fear is good if it's going to stop you from walking out in front of a car, from jumping off a building. But my fear was the longer I stayed, the broker I was going to be. So my fear pushed me out to do something different. My fear didn't keep me there. It said, you got to go because now is the time. And so you got to turn that fear around to your advantage.
I love that. You allowed fear to push you into the next chapter of your life instead of allowing it to continue to keep you in bondage.
Absolutely.
That was, I love that. I love that. So you said once you took the leap, so you took the leap first,
right?
And then you started buying property,
right?
So the number one would be fear. Secondly, the thing that I hear about is money.
Yeah.
So where did you get the money from to start buying property?
Well, what I tell women now, if you are working on a job, use that job. If I thought about it, go back to think, I would have stayed at the job another 6 months and used that W-9 to start acquiring properties. But I looked around and says, where do I have some money? What can I do? My husband had a great job, but we were still working and spending money paycheck to paycheck. Fortunately, my job had a pension. And when they start sending me these pension papers, well, when you retire, you have to stay another 6 years to retire, and you'll get $932 a month. I'm like, well, what can I do with that? I've given you all most of my major life. So I took my money and I
Hmm.
used my money to invest. And there was no fear. I just went out there and started buying properties, and buying properties. And all of a sudden, looked up and I had $1 million worth of real estate. I never would have had that if I'd have stayed on the job.
Right. So, and you mentioned your husband, and
Mm-hmm.
so who is a very active part of your real estate journey now.
Right.
What was that conversation like? Did you just come home one day and say, "Honey, I turned in my 2 week notice"? Like,
Yeah.
what was that conversation like? Because I know I
Mm-hmm.
can hear some ladies out there who might be married
Mm-hmm.
and would be afraid to have that conversation with their spouse. What did that sound like?
My husband wasn't really on board. He was like, well, "What are you going to do? Why are you going to leave this good job?"
Ooh, the
And
good the
so
good
the
job.
good job, right. And I had to break it down to him how we were losing money. But he still was a little skeptical. And every time I went to buy a house, he would say, "Don't buy anything." And I would say, "Okay." And I would come back and say, "Babe, we got a new house." And then I start breaking it down to him, this is going to pay for this and this. And what if something happens to you? I won't have your pension plan. I have to have real estate. And so now he's on board, and of course he's the one that twists and turns and the screwdrivers and all of that. I don't, I don't do chores. I don't paint. I don't do any of that. So he's now a part of what we do, and we manage our own properties.
So, what would you say to that person who might be
Mm-hmm.
single, who
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have, okay, they don't have to have that conversation with somebody to get them on board,
Mm-hmm.
but in terms of a partnership, if they're looking for somebody like, you
Mm-hmm.
know what, I need somebody else to help me, what would you say that a person
Mm-hmm.
could look for in a potential partner?
I would think if you've got the knowledge, and maybe they've got the capital,
Mm.
then you can partner together. If they, so both of you all can start investing in real estate. I will say, being a woman, if you're not a person that knows how to do handy things, you need a great handyman. You're going to be able to, you need to know how to manage your properties. And what women do is go and ask people, should I do this? Should I stop asking everybody else about your future? Because they will put their fear on you.
I love that.
Yeah.
Stop asking everybody else about your future,
Right.
because your future belongs to you.
Right.
So you have to
Mm-hmm.
intentionally
Mm-hmm.
make a move in to position yourself
Right.
to be where you want to be. Like, where is it that you want to be? And then start making the moves toward that, because nobody is going to do that but you, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Dana.
Yes,
Absolutely.
that is so good.
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of rental property, and I
Mm-hmm.
know that you love you some Section 8, and a lot of people are afraid of Section
Mm-hmm.
8.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell our listeners what Section 8 is and why you love it?
Well, Section 8 is a government subsidized program where the tenant has a voucher where their rent is either paid at a percentage or 100% rent. The great thing about Section 8 is you're always going to be paid on time. So the government is paying off your property. But the other things you have to make sure the property is clean and safe. And as a landlord and a property owner, you always want to make sure your property is safe for a tenant. So it's no different. Section 8 is a little pickier because it's government backed. But the things, if you already know those things in advance, then as you're looking at properties, you're looking at a property through the eyes of making sure that property is going to be safe and it will qualify for Section 8. And then they say, well, why would you take a Section 8 tenant? They're just going to tear your property up. But there's a certain amount of wear and tear. You still screening your tenants because we're in the business as landlords. We have bills to pay too. We want to make sure that we're providing a good, clean, safe property and that we're paid on time. And Section 8 is the right way to do it. So if Section 8 is going behind you and making sure everything is legal, everything is safe, then that puts your property in a great position, where you possibly won't be sued because you was a thug landlord. So, I never want to put anybody in an unsafe property, and that's your goal anyway. So why not use Section 8? It has guidelines. If they tear your property up, really bad, then they get put off the system. There's 12,000 people waiting to get on Section 8 now. So why would they do that? Yeah, they're going to have children, possibly, or maybe they're senior citizens. But I really like that program because it's guaranteed. If it's the 30th of the month, you're going to get your check on the first. It doesn't matter if it's a holiday. There's no excuses. If school's about to start, your tenant's not going to call and say, "Oh, my kids need school clothes. Can you wait a week for your rent?" No, it's going to come automatically from the government. That's why I like it. I don't mind if they come in yearly and inspect, because you have a tenant that's in your property for years, you haven't been in it for years, you don't know what's going on in that property. But in this case, it has to be inspected yearly by section, not just by you, but section 8.
Yeah, I really like that in
Mm-hmm.
terms of you're not going to be in the property on a regular basis. So you
Mm-hmm.
have another set of eyes to go and legally look inside of the property to make sure that they're doing what
Mm-hmm.
they're supposed to do. And then
Mm-hmm.
I can remember, and we'll talk about that in a second. I can remember you telling us that, your tenants, you take care of your tenants. So
Absolutely.
what are some of the things that you do for your tenants that some other landlords might not do?
Well, if it's their anniversary, I may send them a gift card for the anniversary, thanking them for taking care of my property and being a good tenant. And sometimes my husband, if it's an older person, sometimes my husband will go by and just change the filter for them monthly. So I'm showing ownership. So I feel like if I'm showing ownership of the property myself, then they will show ownership of the place that they live.
Yeah, that's so
Mm-hmm.
good. Now we're going to pivot as to what I was thinking about. So initially, I was a member of CREA, that's the Kentucky Real Estate Investors Association,
Mm-hmm.
and you were speaking on a panel. It was a panel discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember listening to your conversation and like, I need her to be my mentor. So
Mm-hmm.
I sent you a private message like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I need a mentor. And
Yeah.
so we had a conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and long story short, here you are. So
Okay.
how are you able to mentor people who may be in the situation that you were in,
Mm-hmm.
20, 30 years ago, that they're in that
Mm-hmm.
situation now and they want to get out of, that job that they've been working at for,
Mm-hmm.
20, 30 years? What are some of the things that you would recommend to them about whether that be your mentorship program,
Mm-hmm.
or what would you suggest that they do?
Well, I do suggest that everybody has a mentor, somebody that they can, because it's not that you're not going to make any mistakes, but we just don't have time to go through all the mistakes. And it has to
Mm,
be somebody that's actually out there, that's in the properties, that's dealing with the tenants. But I like to sit down and talk to the person and says, well, where do you want to be in the next 5 years? I need to know their comfort zone. Do they have a little money on the side? Are they the person that wants to get a property that's already renovated? Are they okay with a distressed property? How much money do you need monthly? Think about what maybe you just need money to survive month to month. You're not ready to retire. Or if you're ready to retire, how much money do you need and what does that look like? How are we going to get financing? How we creative financing, borough property, all the things we talk about in the real estate world, which will be the right way for you to go. Because you can go to the library and read every book,
mhm,
you can watch every video, go to every class, but there's still some little things that somebody needs you to hold your hand through, or somebody that's been through, like us that own properties, can say, hey, you shouldn't do it this way. Let's go this way. How do you know if it's the right property for you? Does it fit in your plan? It's got to be a blueprint, because we as women, we get emotional. I get
mm.
excited when I see some property, but does it fit with what I'm trying to do?
So it sounds like you
Mm-hmm.
sit down and have a conversation and understand what the person's goals are,
Right.
and then you're able to see, hey, if your program is able to help them to meet their goals,
Right.
and then you can kind of go from there.
Right. I'm gonna say, let's do this. Let's get a property here. Let's start with a fourplex. Let's start with a threeplex. Let's start with, a duplex. Let's do. There's all Dana. There's so many ways to start investing in real
Mhm.
estate. Real estate is like fifth dimensional. It's some Buzz Lightyear stuff. You can pivot in the middle. You got to think about, is this interest rate good? Is this a good cash flow? There's so many little pieces, and sometimes you don't run up on them until you get into the middle of what you're doing. Because I've changed what I in the beginning. I said I only wanted single families, and then in midstream you'll say, okay, I only want duplexes. I only want Airbnbs. All that's okay if it fits your plan, is getting you to where you're going.
So you mentioned creative strategies.
Mhm.
So give us some creative strategies that we could potentially use in order to get started.
So one great thing, if you don't already own a primary residence, is buy a multifamily. A duplex, a triplex, a fourplex. Live in one and rent out the other three. Buy a property that potentially has some equity, or you can force equity into it. Buy it, rehab it, rent it, refinance it, pull that money out and go use that money tax free and go buy another property. So there's so many ways to do that to get started. If you don't have any money to get started, it's always subject to. And there's a
Mm.
strategy behind the subject too. But what is your exit plan? I always have an exit plan in the beginning. Know the numbers, know how you're going to get out of this deal, how you're going to get in this deal. There's hard money lenders, there's private money lenders.
So you said subject to.
Mhm.
What exactly is that?
Subject to is taking over someone's mortgage without having to qualify through the bank.
Hmm.
So you're basically going in, taking over their payment with sometimes zero down. It may not be the best house on the block, but that's a short term. You're not going to hold it for 30 years. What do you plan to do with it? But in the meantime, you can start getting cash flow. Either live in it, rent it out, start getting cash flow without going to the bank and qualifying for the mortgage.
Well, and sounds like too is if that person got that mortgage 10 years ago, back when interest rates were a little bit lower than they are now,
Absolutely.
and I say, hey, Mr. Seller, looks like you need a new roof and looks
Mhm.
like you haven't been taking care of the property.
Right.
Hey, how about I take over your payments
Hmm.
and I can or cannot give you a little bit of money. You go
Right.
someplace else. I take
Right.
over your mortgage and then I can potentially fix it up and refinance it. So if I do that,
Right.
can I sell the property or do I have to live in
Absolutely.
it?
It's deeded in your name.
Okay.
And it's making that person's credit look good. And they walked away and not have to worry about that payment. Now you got to be trustworthy or you go to jail if you don't make that person's payment. We're never, it's, we don't have enough time to spend in jail. We never want to do anything illegal.
And
We
we don't
never,
look
we
good in
don't,
jail.
we don't look good in jail. I may not get my mascara right.
Right.
None of that in jail. So my lashes. So, yeah, we never want to falsely mislead them. But there's a process in doing that. And most of the time you're helping that person get out of that situation. But what is your exit plan? Because you're not trying to hold their mortgage for another 15, 20 years. But you're right, Dana. Fix it up, refinance it, sell it, pay them off. The property's deeded to you.
Well, and the other thing
Mm-hmm.
that I heard is I think you said that you don't have to go to the bank. So it sounds like if I don't have good credit right now,
Mm-hmm.
that this is a strategy for me. If maybe my credit score is, we had a few bumps in the road, I should say
Yeah.
that.
Right, right.
And this is a great strategy for someone who doesn't have, really good credit.
Absolutely. But in the meantime, if that's what you're going to do, be working on your credit while you're doing that.
Oh, that's
But
true.
your property is cash flowing to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really good. That's
Right.
really good. I like that strategy. So we're just giving away all kind of gems, dropping all kind of nuggets. So where do you see yourself? What's going on with you right now? And then
Mm.
what can you see yourself 5 years from now?
Well, I'm still doing my mentorship. So I'm
Okay.
still mentoring women and development, new construction, development, affordable housing, and still helping women build that income monthly. But my first love is rentals.
Mm,
My first, because that's consistent and you can make it passive to semi-passive. But it's just so much need for affordable housing,
mm.
uh, some commercial properties, and and development.
Okay, yeah.
Hmm.
Just so many different options with real estate. So
Absolutely, yeah.
when you say development, apartments, mixed use commercial.
Uh, Both. That's what's great with real estate. Mix. I'm kind of niching it down. Building some modern builds. You know, Possibly want a 100 unit apartment complex. Uh, that type of real estate, but still loving my rental properties. Still
Yeah.
loving my rental properties.
So it sounds like the rental properties are your bread and butter, if you will, and now
Absolutely.
you're able to kind of dabble in some other things. So
Right.
would you recommend to somebody So there's rentals, there's duplexes, there's commercial, there's development. For somebody brand new, because I got this question myself, would you recommend if somebody said, you know what, I want to just jump in commercial since I know that's where I want to be? Would you recommend somebody start off with, a few rentals before just jumping into commercial? Or is it okay to just, if you know commercial is where you're going to be, just jump right into commercial?
If you're dealing with a mentor that's already been in the commercial field, then go for it. But if you use totally the beginning, I would say start with a multifamily or a single family resident first.
Now, I'm going to flip over to, because I remember you are the Affordable Housing Trust queen as well. So,
well, I'm trying to be, but I don't know if I am. So, yeah, there's so much money out there. Yeah.
Right. I'm going to try not to throw any shade right now toward anybody.
Exactly. I'm not either. I'm not throwing any shade, but yeah.
So we hear about the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and they have, millions of dollars to go toward affordable housing.
Right.
Have two parts. Have you been able to take advantage of that funding? And if you have, what would you recommend to someone else?
I have gone through the process. I have not took advantage of it. They ran out of money by the time they got around to me. I would love to get back in there and do an affordable housing, for sale, because most of the time they want you to sell the property, and I don't have a problem with that. But you have to follow all the guidelines. All the numbers got to be right. It's a great program. Take advantage of any of the program, any of the grants that are available here in our city. But make sure that you qualify. All the ins and outs. But I would love to get a property to put in there right now. I don't have anything to sell. Everything I got is hold. Everything I got is hold. So affordable housing, I may do a quick little new build, 1,000 square feet new build would be a great for the affordable housing program for me to do.
So it sounds like your strategy has to match up with their strategy.
Yeah, but kind of when you're doing grants and that stuff, you got to fit into their got to fit into what they want you to be, because in turn you're helping each other. It's a partnership.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just hadn't found the right property to take to the affordable housing yet, and I do have land that I can build on to be able to build a great little 1,000 square foot affordable housing unit in that price range for that family, because you got to fit in that medium of that household. And so I would be going into it saying, I'm going to build this house. It's only going to be 130,000 because I'm trying to fit all the families that fit in the 40% below average medium income. You got to think about that. So I would tailor that house to that particular income family.
Yeah. So a lot of particulars, a lot of specifics, a lot of restrictions, a lot of guidelines.
It is.
So if you're out there and you've gone through the process and you're like a guru, go ahead and hit us up and we can work together.
Absolutely.
So, and then I ride by, do you still own the land over on 18th Street across the street from the subway, the old subway? Because I ride past there.
That's a touchy spot for me. Yes, I do. That's a real touchy spot to me. Yeah.
Oh, I ride by there and think about you all the time. I'm like, get that truck off Miss Chiquita's land.
But you know what? Somebody else bought the land. I don't know how that happened. I was waiting for it for a few years, and I put in a bid for it, and I went through the motions. And then I just one day said, let me look it up. Why did it already belong to somebody else? And I don't know when it went for sale, how they bought it, and I didn't know it. Because my goal was to own the whole corner.
Right.
So I do still own a lot there, but I don't own the corner. It's owned by somebody else's state.
Okay. So let's get some numbers. You said you have a lot of rentals. Tell us about a deal from like start to finish. Like you purchased a property, you're able to renovate it, and now it's cash flows. Kind of walk us through that process and give us some numbers if you don't mind.
Well, I purchased a Habitat Humanity. A lot of my properties came from the commissioner sale.
Okay.
Because I love to go to the auctions.
Okay, so real quick. So would you recommend going to the auction for someone brand new? Obviously with
not if you don't know what you're doing.
Okay.
I recommend you talk to an experienced investor. I I recommend you come through my program because I take you to these properties and we know what we're bidding on.
Okay.
We know how much it's going to, we got an estimate on what it's going to pay us, monthly cash flow. We have an estimate on what the rehab. We have an estimate on what we can rent it for. So when we go, we know what we're buying. We know how far to bid because we don't want to get caught up in the bidding process and pay more money. So I don't buy anything at the auction unless I've walked the property and I know all my numbers.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So one particular deal is I bought a Habitat Humanity house, and people know Habitat builds homes, and I got it for 17,200. Now I bought properties at the auction from anywhere from 2,000, and that's the highest house I ever bought, 17,000. The cheapest house I've bought is $1,000, and so I put about 5,000 in it. That property is worth I just had it appraised for 135,000. So I don't owe anything on it. And right now it's renting for $1,200 a month. Now it could rent for more, but when you get into the Section 8 program, there's rules and regulations on how high you can raise the rent from year to year.
Okay, so let me see if my math is mathing.
Mhm.
So the property cost you 17,500.
Mm-hmm.
You put 5,000 into it.
Right.
That's about 22,500.
Right.
And now it's worth 130,000.
135,000.
135,000.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you do the math on what the ROI on that,
Right.
but that is a great return and a
Right.
great investment.
Yeah. That's why it's so easy to become a millionaire as you're investing in real estate. Because see, you're counting that equity.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of your gross net worth. Yeah. And another property that I've got here is I got a subject to. There's 2 blocks from the track. And of course the track is what, 52 million right now? And it was a subject to, and I got it for 13,000, and it's a 4 and 2 Camelback.
Oh, I know you love your Camelbacks.
I'm partial to Camelbacks. And
I only like Camelbacks because she likes Camelbacks.
Right. And Camelbacks are not in every city. It's an old thing. I love Camelbacks and I love side doors.
Oh
yeah, that's what
you
I
like. The more doors.
Yeah, the more money it can bring me. And so it was a Camelback that I took. I gave him $5,000 cash. When we sold it for $13,500, and then I paid that $7,000, that $8,500 monthly as $240 a month to the bank.
So what is your strategy for that one? Since it's close to Churchill Downs.
It was gonna be it's not. It's close to the track, Norton's track.
That track. Street. Okay, when you said track, I was thinking Churchill Downs. Okay, I'm back with you.
If it was close to the track, it would definitely be an Airbnb. Possibly. Okay. But no, this was going to be an Airbnb, but sometimes you got to wait out neighborhoods. You don't want to put an Airbnb right there with a liquor store, 5 thing, people walking them down the street. So it's going to be a rental. Okay. It's going to be a rental for now. And it's in Russell Rehab. What that means is they're going to give me money to help rehab it.
Well, and what I just heard you say too was, okay, you went ahead and got the property. Right. So you have the property. Mm-hmm. It's in an area that could potentially become a perfect area for a short-term rental. When you think about the sports complex, you're thinking about teams coming in families. So perfect location. Right. But just not right now. Right. So right now you'll put a long-term tenant in there for a couple of years, and maybe by year 3, 4, 5, now the neighborhood is ready for it to be a short-term rental. Absolutely, that's exactly what I said. Yeah. See? Yeah. But the thing, when you're around investors, you start thinking that way. Yes. And so, you start noticing things. Think about different ways to be able to accomplish your goal. But that's what I'm gonna do with that. So when we think about, one of the things that we talk about on the Dana Spencer Show is solving problems. Mm-hmm. So when I realized that investing in real estate is just solving problems and surrounding yourself with the people who can help you to solve those problems. Mm-hmm. How has real estate made you a better problem solver? Because you're moving and shaking and navigating. So how has it sharpened your problem solving skills? There's always going to be a problem in life from day to day. You can never go through life without any anxiety and stress, being able to solve something. But, mine is, for instance,
My tenants, a lot of times tenants don't know how to take care of properties.
Mm.
And so, far, where is the cutoff valve? How is the filter? And so we have like a checkoff sheet. We make sure that every place that water comes in has a cutoff valve, because they're going to call you or call management and say, water's running everywhere. And before you get there, your whole place will be flooded.
Mm.
So as my tenants go into my properties, they have a sign-off sheet. They're shown where the cutoff valves. If your water coming from your sink, here's a cutoff valve. Here's how you turn it off. And they sign off.
Mm.
So that solves that problem. The filter needs to be changed. Now you can go in and say, well, here's the furnace. I give them filters. They're going to have 6 filters for the year.
Oh, wow.
So, and you just pull it out, put it where you can show a woman all day long. When it happens, she's like, now, how did she say? Well, here it is. Pull it out. And then, if it's dirt, if it's clean, put it back in there, but go get a clean one. So they're being taught to do these little simple things in a checkout sheet. And that solves the problem of them calling, saying there's water running.
Mm.
My furnace is not heating. My air conditioner is not cooling. And so those little things have helped us be able to solve that problem too. So it's the little things that sometimes you learn as you go along. And the
Yes.
sign-off sheet you were showed, and you get the little dingy. Everybody wants to wash their hair in the sink, in the shower, and they call you and say the water's running out slowly. My husband used to go and pull the water out. Well, now they get a little thingy and get shown here. You just put it down and it catches the hair and pull it out. You're good.
Oh, wow.
So you got that. It's only a couple of dollars.
So sounds like these little tips and tricks in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
are just going to help you so much more in the long run.
We're trying to make it passive,
Right.
the semi-passive. Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
To minimize those phone calls, because that's one of the things that everybody's afraid of. I don't want to get a call at midnight with somebody saying the toilet is overflown.
Right.
But it sounds like you, with your checklist and
Mhm.
your little dinghy to pull out the hair,
Right.
like you are cutting off these things before they happen.
Right. Just turn it off. Call me in the morning.
Right.
That's what you do. Right.
Right.
Mhm.
So in terms of building relationships, that's another thing. Like
Mhm.
when I first got in real estate, that's all I heard. Real estate is a relationship business.
Mhm.
It's a relationship business.
Mhm.
How important is it to build these key relationships in real estate?
It's very important. People need to see you, know your name, and they may have a property that they may call you about because they thought of you.
Mm.
They may be able to suggest somebody that can do work for you. Even relationships with banks. You need relationships with, go in, open up your checking account. Maybe you don't have no money to put in there yet, put $5 a week. Go in, say hi to the banker, say hi to the tellers. They all know you. Yeah, everything is relationship building with real estate. You may get a better price on work that you need done because you're sending that person referrals. Maybe you don't need them right now, but you send them referrals.
So what about contractors? That's everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about how hard it is. So if I buy that, property at an
Mhm.
auction,
Mhm.
and obviously if I only got it for $1,000, it's going to need a
A lot of work.
tremendous amount of work.
Absolutely.
So how am I going to find somebody to work on this property?
Well, with my mentorship, we've been through so many contractors. Good contractors go bad.
Oh, I love that. You
They
should hear
do.
that. Good contractors go bad.
They,
Okay.
they do. I mean, no offense, but maybe they were doing good work. Something happened in their life, and they no longer concentrate on what they're doing. But so you always want to be building, asking for referrals. Stopping. If you're driving down the street and you see some roofers, pull over. You see some people working on a house, pull over. Ask people who's done good work. Keep a running list of contractors and people that can do work. Contractors are essential. If you don't have a contractor's license, you don't know how to sub it out, you need a contractor because they're going to be on that job making sure that the things get done correctly. But you always want to continue to build that list. They say show up at Home Depot at 6 a.m. in the morning. But look, don't go to the person with the 2023 250. Don't go to the one with the raggediest truck either. But keep that list. Talk to other Go into some of the Facebook groups and say, hey, do you have any referrals of roofers, framers? Get at least 3 or 4 referrals. Never take the first. Sometimes when you're a woman, it's hard to get a good price. They think you don't know what you're doing. They want to charge you extra. If you get a contractor that's charging you a crazy amount of money, maybe they don't want that job.
Oh.
And that's why they gave you that crazy number. And if you tell them, yeah, do it, oh yeah, they're going to come and do it for a crazy amount. But always get 3 to 4 estimates and ask a lot of questions. Make sure you know. Us as women, I find that we're communicating what we want, but sometimes the men don't understand.
Ooh.
So have them repeat back what you want. Make sure everything is on paper. Never give any money up front. Know what time frame they're going to get done. Make sure that person is licensed to do what they said they're going to do. So those are some of the hints, but we don't always use the same contractors. We rotate around we subcontract. What that means is we're hiring people in to do the job, making sure that the job is done correctly.
I love that part about communication because I love how, men and women think differently. And that's an excellent point. You could be thinking you are communicating and telling exactly what needs to be done, and then they don't do anything because they misunderstood.
Right.
So they just didn't do nothing. Yeah. Like you didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great point that we're just different from men.
We are.
And I will dare, and after meeting you, I really believe that women actually are better investors than men.
I think they are too. We pay attention to detail too. You can go in a property and look and you say, I know a man did this. I mean, they got grass growing out of the gutter, and they had nerve to have this on sale, and they didn't do this and they didn't do this. We pay attention to detail. I think we are.
And you said a little bit about emotion. We are emotional creatures as well. So how do we need to remove our emotions from certain parts of investing in real estate?
Because we are so have somebody with you that's not so emotional. Oh. Now, I've had an emotional buy. I bought myself a house for my birthday.
Oh, okay. I remember that.
Yeah,
okay.
And I paid a little bit too much for it because I was emotional. But with real estate, if you sit still, it'll come back around. So now that house I could flip for $199,000. I brought it for $14,200 for my birthday, but I only wanted to spend like $10,000.
Oh, so $4,200.
But I was really hurt after that because I was like, "Turn, I paid too much. I got excited. I should have waited." But now I'm happy that I got it. So if you sit still and you're buying the right place, you're fine. But 2 emotional people will get you in trouble. You got to go back and remember now, does this check all the boxes of what we're looking for here? Not just because you roll past it every day and you loved it since you was a little kid. Will it cash flow? Can you flip it? Can you bury it? What can you do with it? That other person got to bring you back down to earth.
Oh my goodness. And the part about when you're a little kid, because I can ride down the parkway and remember how amazing those houses were back in the day.
Right.
But the houses are not the same as they were back in the day.
Right.
So definitely, no 2 emotional people together. So even if you are single or married or whatever, both people cannot be emotional. Right. Somebody has got to be the stickler.
It's got to be. But you got to be careful because I used to get after my husband. We'd walk in a house and I would be looking at dollar signs. He would say, "Ooh, the ceiling's leaking. Ooh, that's falling out. Ooh, what is that going to cost?" And I'm looking at, "Ooh, this is a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom. Let me add another bath here. How much I'm going to get?" But he's looking at money going out. So now he knows if we're looking, he don't say all of that. He keeps it, but he's trust me enough now that I know what I'm looking at. But if it's you and your girlfriend, she has no clue about real estate, you trying to make a decision if you're going to buy, don't take her with you. Don't take her with you because that's the thing. And Dana, as investors, we'll look at the ugliest house on the block, getting ready to fall down. We still see money. We see the money coming in. We don't see that. We know money's going to go out. But you have to spend money to make money. It's seed money.
And I just remember you talking about the third eye. Because we are able to see some things that other
Mm-hmm.
people cannot see.
Right.
And even thinking about this idea of building relationships,
Mm-hmm.
even getting into the program.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe right now you have people in your life that put their fears on you, like Miss Chiquita talked about at the beginning. Maybe you have those types of people.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to join her program, now your new friends and your
Right.
new buddies are the people who are in the program. I can't tell you, I had two inner circle friends that I met. Well, one I already knew, but then rekindled as a result of being in her program.
Right.
So talk about the benefits, and you've alluded to that, but just go into just a little bit deeper the benefits of being around. I don't want to say like-minded people because you don't necessarily know the mind of the people, but the importance of being around people who are going in the same direction.
It helps you to build up your confidence
Mhm.
that you can run it past people that understand what you're trying to do. It's going to help you with that third eye. The third eye can be taught, but
Oh,
you got to hear it. You got to hear it, and it's got to be shown to you. I can stand here and show you. We go to property now, and I just blah 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 blah, blah, and you're going to see it, and you can take those skills other places. But it helps you tone out the other noise of the people that don't understand what you're doing, being with a community of like-minded women that are all moving to create wealth through real estate. And so, in the mentorship, we look at those properties. Let's look at these properties. Let's break them down. Bring it to me. What is it? And so I think that helps you to say, hey, I'm on the right track. And so, sometimes with real estate, you can't say, let me go sleep on it and I'll call you tomorrow. No, it's gone. It's gone. You got to make a quick decision with real estate. And so it lets you know you're not out there alone. There's other women out there investing in real estate. Being a realtor is great, but it's also a different mindset.
oh, that part.
It's also a different mindset. Yes.
It really is. And since you brought that up, in terms of a realtor versus a real estate investor.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the things that I say is that you want an investor friendly real estate agent.
Right.
And what we mean by that is preferably an agent that owns property, him or herself.
Absolutely.
And not just somebody who's just used to working with people who are going to live in the property.
Exactly.
Because they need to understand I'm not offering the list price. If the property is listed for $75,000, it's not a real good chance that I'm offering $75,000.
Right.
So they need to understand that. And so one of the things that when you get Miss Chiquita's program, you also get a real estate investor friendly agent as well. Right. So tell the people out there, how do they find you if they want to get with your program? They're realizing, you know what, these people I've been hanging around. I understand the importance of getting started investing in real estate, but these knuckleheads are not, they're not with me. So right. how can a person out there get involved in your program?
Well, I like to have a chat with them first.
Okay.
I have 12-week courses. I have a 9 and a 12-month mentorship. But I'd like to have a chat with you and see where your head's at, what you're trying to do, and give you some advice on which way to go, whether it's my program or not. And so you can book a call with me at bit.ly retire me 2023. That's bit.ly / retire me 2023. And it's a free call. It's a free call because my program maybe the 12-month program is for you, maybe the 12-week program is for you. And it doesn't matter what state you're in. My mentees are all over the US. And we currently have about 16 properties, 4 pieces of land. One of mine is just getting ready to close on a duplex. There's a lot of fruit over here. A lot of fruit. And I can only teach you what I've been doing, what I experience, and how I run my business for you to be successful.
Awesome. Right. And we will add your link to the show notes as well so that you have that. So preferably you got it, but just in case you didn't, we'll go ahead and make that a link in the show notes as well.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. So leave the people with some words of wisdom. There may have been something that you wanted to say that I didn't ask you. One last thing before you answer that. In terms of knowledge, how important is it? There's programs, but even with the program, what are
Mm-hmm.
some other things that a person should be doing? Maybe they're not
Mm-hmm.
ready to join a mentorship program right now. What are some things that they should be doing now in order to get ready for a program like yours?
Well, I would think you can start reading some books on real estate, creative financing with real estate. There's all avenues, Airbnbs. Start reading some books. You can watch some YouTube videos. You can do those things because, of course, they're all free. But after that, just make a decision. Just do something. What are you reading? What's on your nightstand? What are you reading? 15 minutes a night, whatever. Look at people that are where you want to be and follow and listen to them. See, can you volunteer around real estate? Join some local real estate groups. There's quite a few Facebook groups. Join some of those.
Yeah,
That's what that's
absolutely.
right.
All right, and that was pretty good. But go ahead and what would be the one thing that you would want the listeners to walk away from as a
Mm-hmm.
result of this conversation? What's the
Mm-hmm.
one thing?
Well, talking to my women out there, ladies, we are in danger of living and dying in poverty.
Mm,
We as women live longer than men. We have to take care of ourselves financially. If you're a two income household, what if it's a one income household? Your husband is not your retirement plan. It's all up to you. We're everything to everybody. We're the cook, we're the cleaner, we're the tutor, we're now taking care of our parents.
mm.
Can you afford to stay home from a 9 to 5 and take care of your parents? Owning real estate gives you freedom to be who you really are. There's no other time, and I say this every year, this is a great time for real estate. It is a great time for real estate right now. No matter where you're at, there's bargains. No matter what the interest rate is, there's bargains. No matter if your credit score is 500, you can still invest in real estate. That's what's so great about real estate. What is it that you really own? If you're buying a resident right now, living in it, you're buying yourself a house and the bank a house. If you only own a lot, go pitch a tent on it. Nobody can ever take it from you. What is it that you own? Start small. You don't have to start big. You have to take that step. Get over your fear, turn that fear around to courage. Reach out to someone that's where you want to be, own real estate. Myself, my Dana. Get started. Get started now. Do something before it's too late. Too late. Life is just too short. If you got a wonderful job now, it's not going to save you. If you're depending on Social Security, it's social insecurity.
Mm.
You're not going to be able to survive. Statistics say women have more health issues. If you're sitting there trying to get your house totally paid off, you're going to be broke in retirement. That house is going to fall down around you. Create some wealth. If you're investing in stocks, go ahead. Invest in stocks. I hope nobody says anything tomorrow and you lose $250,000 in stocks. If you lose $20,000 in stocks, that hurts. If you lose 10, if the stock market goes down, my little rental properties are still around the corner. They're still paying me rent every month. That's why I don't deal with stocks. But if you're good with stocks, go ahead. But get a piece of real estate. Own at least one thing besides the house you live in that's bringing in income. Don't go out and buy a new car. Buy a house and let the house pay for the new car.
All right, can't
Mm-hmm.
sum it up any better than this. Thank you, Miss Chiquita, for your time and your wisdom.
You're
Reach out.
welcome.
Once again, we'll have the link to have a conversation with Miss Chiquita in the show notes. And until next time, this is the Dana Spencer Show signing out.